First of all, I wanted to talk to you about whether or not you personally were a trash talker. We have a segment on this show where we talk about the best trash talk stories that any player has from any point in their career, college or pro or otherwise. So one of the dividing lines between people is whether or not they are personally a trash talker and whether or not they have been trash talked to over the course of time. So where do you
Right.
fall in the continuum of trash talk in professional basketball?
Uh, I'm a little bit in between. There was definitely a point in my career, early on, like college, high school, where I was a trash talker, but now I mean I don't really say much. Um, there's guys who need trash talk and things like that to amp them up, energize them. But I'm not one of those guys. I bring my self motivation, so I don't need to talk trash to other guys to get myself going. But I mean, if guys are talking to me, I'll definitely won't be quiet. I'll definitely say things back. But as far as like, let me see, a good trash talk story, man, I think it's been a while. But let me see, I just give you a little context. This is back in high school. So I went to a school called Brantley, and our rival was about 5 miles apart. They were called Laverne. So originally I was at Laverne, um, and then I was playing like halfway through the season. I wasn't really enjoying myself. So and most of my family, my dad and uncle, they went to Brantley. But for some reason, my dad wanted me to go to Laverne. I don't know. It was just a weird situation, but I did not enjoy it at all. So I ended up transferring like halfway through the season back to Brantley. Obviously, couldn't play the rest of that season. And with that being like one of the biggest rivalries, Laverne definitely didn't take that to us, me like leaving, during the season, blah, blah. Because they had a really, really, really good team. Just like on that team, there was a guy named Dante Hall who's played some NBA, and he's playing now. He's with EuroLeague, and also there was a Aubrey Wiley who played at Auburn with my dad. His son was on that team, so he's another 6'7" guy. The guy that Dante Hall, he was like a 7-footer, really athletic. And also on that team had another 6'4", about 260 guy, Quindarius Staggart, who played in the NFL for a little bit for the Bills. So it was just a ton of talent on that team, and so if I stayed, that we would have for sure won probably about 3 state championships like back to back because we were that good, that talented. So when I left, they didn't take that too well, and the next year, we had a really good team at Brantley. I think we beat them both times, and we both teams made it to the state. We were like a different division, so we were like 1A and they were 2A. So we both made it to the state championship that year. That's how good they were. They made it to the championship despite me not being on the team. And we both ended up losing the state championship game. So this was around the time when like Twitter was like a big thing, or just starting to become a big thing. So at the time, being a young kid, I like was trolling them on Twitter, like complimenting the other team, just talking a little trash on Twitter. And it just turned into a big thing. I had like hundreds of people from Laverne just like trash talking me, like telling me all of the worst things ever you could say to like a teenager, like you're not as good as your dad, you'll never be as good as your dad, all this stuff like that. So it was it was so crazy. And so like after all that, so a lot of it was pretty harsh, and it was coming from not just only from teenagers, it was coming from like adults too. So I was like, I made
Of
it
course
my
it
like
was.
mission. Yeah, so I like made it my mission to like the next time I played them, or the next couple of times I played them, I would just like give it everything I had, just to show them like whatever. So like my senior season, a lot of our good players on our team, they graduated. So our team was not very good, but their team, they had pretty much everyone back. So they were super loaded. And so when we played them, no one gave us a chance just because we were just so, undermatched. I think I was the tallest person on the team at 6'3", and they had like 4 or 5 guys over like 6'7" and a 7-footer. So like we had no chance. But so this game, when we played them, this game was like super packed. We have a super small arena, but it was just like standing room only. We had people like along the baseline, the stands were full. We had like a stage in our arena that was full. So it was like a crazy atmosphere. Just having me, I was a Troy commit, and then the other guy, he was an Alabama commit. So it was just like really intense. And It's like through that game, that was probably the only time where I actually like trash talked the entire game. So I was talking trash to the fans, talking trash to the players, and I actually ended up having a really good game. I think I ended up with like 46 points, but we ended up losing by like a few points in the end. But it was just like a really, really good and intense game. And it was just, I guess, probably one of my best trash talk story. But just coming that close to a team like that, and then just everything that surrounded it and what happened before that, it was just pretty intense.